Christine, how much does it hurt the WNBA when Caitlin Clark is out?
It is devastating to the WNBA when Caitlin Clark is out.
Now, I know a lot of us were expecting some sort of dip since Caitlin Clark has been out with injury, but I don't think all of us were expecting the entire viewership of the entire WNBA to be down. And this tweet from Christine Brennan really stuck out to me. She said, one player gets injured and more than half the TV audience for the entire league disappears. Has any other athlete ever had that kind of impact on a sport? Golf without Tiger definitely dropped precipitously on occasion.
The WNBA is in a devastating financial freefall, watching helplessly as its foundation crumbles without Caitlin Clark on the court, once again proving it has learned nothing about protecting the one player who single-handedly pulled the league from obscurity into the spotlight. This is the story of how the league keeps shooting itself in the foot while its golden goose sits injured on the sidelines, and how its stubborn refusal to face reality is costing millions of dollars every single day.
And the truth is the truth, and the data is there. And what we saw when Caitlin was out the last time, the 5 games that she missed earlier in the season, the WNBA's viewership dropped more than 50%. Not just the Fever, but the entire league.
In this age of manufactured drama and social media controversy, facts are as rare as a sold-out WNBA game without Caitlin Clark. When Clark was sidelined with a quad injury on May 24th, the harsh reality of the league's dependence on a single player was laid bare for all to see. Now, with her out again due to a groin injury for an unknown stretch, we're witnessing a repeat of the same story.
Injury jumped to her groin likely because of compensation. But the thing that you have to be careful of is if, say, you try to rush her back from this injury as well, then you're getting into this territory where a very serious injury can happen. That is what the Indiana Fever, that is what Caitlin need to avoid the best that they possibly can. So if it means that Caitlin is out for 3 weeks, if it means that she is out all the way through All-Star, then so be it.
Nationally televised WNBA viewership has plunged by a staggering 55%, with Indiana Fever games suffering a 53% drop, falling from an average of 1.81 million viewers when Caitlin Clark played to just 847,000 without her. But here's where the story turns from bad to utterly predictable, a catastrophic outcome for a league that stubbornly refuses to learn from its own mistakes.
Went down. The WNBA ratings have dropped over 55%
Yikes.
across the board.
Hey, guess what, guys?
The league is Caitlin Clark.
The league is Caitlin Clark. She is the WNBA, guys.
Sidelined with a left quad strain May 24th. National TV viewership has plunged since then 55%. Before the injury, the Fever, her team, were averaging 1.81 million viewers, almost 2 million. Since her injury, fewer than 850,000.
While Caitlin Clark was busy doing what she does best, filling arenas to capacity, shattering television ratings, and generating unprecedented revenue, the WNBA was doing what it does best, absolutely nothing to protect its most valuable asset. Because apparently, when you have a player single-handedly responsible for 26.5% of all WNBA economic activity, the logical response is to let opponents target her with impunity while lecturing everyone about basketball plays.
Is alarming for the league, and it's alarming for the league because this is such a crucial year for the WNBA. At the end of this season, the WNBA will go into CBA negotiations. If negotiations go well, then every single player in the WNBA has a much better chance of making so much more in their next contract. And that's one thing when you start thinking about how many people stopped watching when Caitlin Clark got injured. A lot of people stopped watching because they are boycotting the WNBA. They don't want to give viewership to any other teams or any other players, whether they like other players on the team or not, because of how the media and the league itself has handled Caitlin Clark and how they have treated.
It's particularly fascinating, and by fascinating, I mean deeply infuriating, is how this exact scenario has played out before, yet the WNBA seems incapable of learning from its own history. This isn't the first time the league has watched its ratings and revenue collapse when its biggest star went down with an injury. It's like watching someone touch a hot stove, get burned, and then immediately reach for it again while insisting they had no idea what would happen.
Concerning about this is the fact that we are only a month into the regular season, and Caitlin Clark has already been out with 2 injuries. With the first one being her having to miss some time with a left quad strain. Now, of course, this is concerning because if you're already on your 2nd injury, you don't want to be that player that is always hurt. Cough, cough, Embiid, cough, cough, Anthony Davis. So I really do hope that the Fever really sits her out right now for a while, only because you don't want her to have more long-term injuries and be more prone.
If you're enjoying this, please subscribe. The financial devastation has been swift and merciless. Ticket prices for Indiana Fever games have plummeted by 71%, with some dropping from $860 to just $250. The average ticket price for games Clark has missed has fallen from $1.370 to $80, a staggering decline that speaks volumes about who truly drives interest in this league. Road games that were moved to larger arenas specifically to meet the demand for Clark tickets are now struggling to fill venues that would have been sold out with her on the floor. The Chicago Sky vs. Fever rematch, once one of the most anticipated games of the season, saw ticket prices crash from $210 to $95. The same matchup that previously drew 2 million viewers, 25 million viewers, making it one of the most watched WNBA games in history. But without Clark, it becomes just another game that casual fans have no interest in watching.
Man, bruh. Congratulations to the WNBA. Your ratings are going to drop by 55 to 60% once again. I believe the WNBA have successfully broken Caitlin.
Christine Brennan, the veteran sports journalist whose upcoming book asterisk on her game, Caitlin Clark and the Revolution in Women's Sports asterisk promises to expose the league's failures, has been one of the most vocal critics of the WNBA's handling of its star player. The WNBA continues to fail to meet the moment, Brennan wrote after yet another incident where Clark was targeted by opponents. People are watching as never before, and this is what they see. Her criticism cuts to the heart of the matter. The league has data showing that Clark alone draws more than half its TV audience, yet it continues to allow her to take cheap shots and hard fouls meant solely to intimidate their biggest draw. It's like watching a restaurant owner allow customers to harass the chef whose cooking is the only reason anyone comes through the door.
As big a deal as Tiger was in men's golf, Keith, he did, and when he was gone, it affected the ratings, but nothing like that. And, Michael Jordan being out, maybe a 5 percentage points or something. Nothing like this. You can make a strong case, and I will make that case, and have that there is no one single athlete more important to his or her sport or tour or whatever the circuit is that they play on than Caitlin Clark is to the...
The pattern has become as predictable as it is maddening. Caitlin Clark gets fouled hard by opponents more interested in making statements than playing basketball. Of the league's 30 flagrant fouls in 2024, 5 were committed against her, with the Chicago Sky responsible for 80% of them. When she responds to the physical play, she's blasted for being too aggressive. When she doesn't, she's called soft, a no-win situation entirely of the league's making and one it refuses to address. Meanwhile, the financial damage is hammering not just the Fever, but the entire WNBA ecosystem. The league was already projected to lose $50 million this year despite the Clark-fueled surge in popularity, and without her on the court, those losses are accelerating rapidly as TV ratings crater, merchandise sales stall, and attendance falls back to pre-Clark levels.
I don't even know where to begin, man. I hope Caitlin Clark is okay. I want to know when this injury even happened, bro, because let's be serious here. She has the quad injury. Mind you, Caitlin Clark hadn't missed a game since she was like 19 years old, since she was like 18 in college or something. Now she has a groin injury. We've never seen Caitlin Clark play as bad as she played the last 3 games. Let's just be serious here. She's like 1 for 20-something on threes in the last 3. We've never seen her shoot the ball this way. I'll say that. Has she been hurt and playing through this?
The most damning part of this entire situation is that it was completely preventable. Caitlin Clark entered the league as a humble rookie, constantly praising her teammates and deflecting attention from herself. handling criticism with remarkable grace and maturity for someone only 22 years old. The WNBA could have embraced her, protected her, and used her popularity to elevate the entire sport. Instead, they let jealousy and petty politics poison what should have been a celebration of women's basketball. The ripple effects of Clark's injury stretch far beyond TV ratings and ticket sales. Corporate sponsors who invested millions based on Clark-driven growth are now questioning whether their money was well spent. This exposes a fundamental flaw in how the WNBA positions itself, caught between wanting to be taken seriously as a professional sports league and chasing manufactured drama for social media clicks. You can't have it both ways. Real professional leagues protect their stars and uphold competitive integrity, while high school drama clubs manufacture controversy and hope someone notices.
How about Caitlin? She's a warrior. She's tough. You hear me? Bruh, you just don't see players. You don't see female basketball players like her. I'm sorry. I haven't seen a lot of female basketball players, like I said.
The comparison to other professional sports leagues is stark and embarrassing. Can you imagine the NBA allowing players to spend months targeting LeBron James with dirty plays while brushing it off as just competitive basketball? The league would shut it down instantly and hand out suspensions faster than you could say flagrant foul. But the WNBA seems content to let this destructive pattern continue, apparently believing that any attention is good attention. Its failure to protect Caitlin Clark has fostered a toxic environment where fans refuse to watch other WNBA games because they no longer trust the sport's competitive integrity. When your own fans openly admit they won't watch games without your biggest star because they doubt the officiating will be fair, you've got a credibility crisis that runs far deeper than ratings and revenue.
You know, I believe the physicality and all this hacking and fouling that goes on, she getting blindsided by Marina Mabry. I think all of this stuff is having a wear and tear and an impact. And all you guys are doing are hurting yourselves, because the numbers are going to drop and drop and drop. And trust me, when it's time for that collective bargaining agreement, they are going to point to this and say, well, how can we give you guys all this money? What happens if she gets hurt?
What makes this situation even more infuriating is that the WNBA has had multiple opportunities to course correct and has failed every single time. Each incident involving Caitlin Clark should have been a wake-up call to establish clear standards for player protection and competitive integrity. Instead, every episode has been met with the same tired excuses about basketball plays and letting the players play. The irony is that Clark's injury, the very thing the league should have been working to prevent, has become the clearest possible proof of her value to the organization. A 55% drop in viewership isn't subtle, yet even with this glaring evidence, there's no sign the WNBA has learned its lesson. League officials keep talking about competitive balance and physical play, as if hard fouls and dirty shots are somehow essential to the sport, continuing to treat routine plays involving Clark as headline incidents while ignoring truly dangerous fouls committed against her.
Of the way they play the game, because I love the WNBA, I love the way they play the game, but we really watch it because Caitlin Clark and everybody watch. Now listen, if I keep bumping her, knocking her down, might get her a concussion, you might hurt her for real. For 2 weeks, she was done with like a hamstring. She was down. 55% of the viewership was down. She comes back the next game, it's about 3 million viewers. Now let me tell you something. Growing up in the hood, they teach you this. Always protect the money. Y'all keep hurting her and all that. She's going for a year or two. Ain't nobody gonna watch it. If nobody watches, how y'all gonna make and generate money?
The solution to this crisis isn't complicated, but it requires the WNBA to make hard decisions about what kind of league it wants to be. If they want to be taken seriously as a professional basketball organization, they need to start acting like one, establishing clear, enforceable guidelines for player protection, applying them consistently, and refusing to let manufactured controversies overshadow the actual game. Most importantly, they must recognize that their biggest stars, especially those who fill arenas and drive TV ratings, deserve protection from the kind of targeting and harassment that serves no purpose beyond stirring social media drama. The ongoing collapse in viewership, attendance, and revenue without Caitlin Clark is a brutal reminder of what the WNBA was before she arrived, and what it will be again if they don't change course. Without Clark, The league is averaging just 555,000 viewers this season, well below last year's 670,000 average, a slide back to the pre-Clark era of empty arenas and irrelevant games that nobody outside hardcore fans cared to watch.
What I saw walking to the game is what the media don't see. Thousands of kids.
Wearing what, Gil?
Kids. Huh?
What were they wearing?
Caitlin Clark jerseys.
Were they Fever jerseys? Were they Iowa jerseys? Were they
Wherever she played. It was whatever she played.
That's what was more impressive to me.
It did that. It wasn't just it was Caitlin in the back.
For her style of play.
But her style of play. But it wasn't adults.
Right.
It was parents bringing their kids and their friends. Them seats was kids filled.
Right.
And that's what they don't understand. They don't grasp that part of it.
The most tragic part of this situation is that it didn't have to happen. With proper protection and promotion of their star player, the WNBA could have leveraged Caitlin Clark's popularity to build a sustainable foundation for long-term growth. Instead, they've built a house of cards that collapses the moment their biggest draw steps off the court. Until the league learns to protect and promote the players who truly drive interest, they'll remain stuck in a cycle of boom and bust, where one player's presence or absence dictates whether anyone pays attention. The real question is whether the WNBA will finally learn to safeguard their golden goose or keep repeating this destructive pattern until Clark's impact and the opportunity it created is completely squandered. Based on everything we've seen so far, the smart money isn't on the league suddenly developing common sense.